My boyfriend decides to invite me to some amazing beach house that his family owns, but little did I know he was planning something behind my back, and I'm going to tell you guys, it was not a good surprise. Let me share with you the details.
Hey guys, long-time lurker, first-time poster. I'm honestly in a weird predicament, and I'm not sure if I'm overreacting or if my feelings are valid. To give some background, I'm a 26-year-old woman, and I've been dating my boyfriend Trevor for about 2 years now. We've had our ups and downs like any other couple, but overall, things have been pretty great. We decided to take a vacation together to a beach house that his parents own, just 2 hours away from our city. It's a quaint, 2-bedroom cottage nestled right off the beach. Honestly, I could not be more excited about this because I have not been to the beach since I was a little girl, and this trip is going to be the second significant trip Trevor and I are taking together. The first trip was full of memories, and I was eagerly looking forward to making more. His parents were sweet enough to renovate the house and make it available for us this weekend. Trevor has been planning this vacation for us for a while. I've been so hyped for the trip, and after a long month of back-to-back shifts at the nail salon, I was ready for a break. After my last shift today, I practically sprinted home, ready to start packing even though we aren't leaving until tomorrow. I could already hear the waves in my mind and smell the salty air. I wanted everything to be perfect, and as I was getting the last of my things together, imagine the nights that we'd spent under the stars and lazy mornings in bed. Trevor came over with some of his stuff to load into my Jeep. We decided that I would drive us there and he'd be my trusty co-pilot. As we packed, I could see the excitement mirrored in his eyes. I started about our itinerary. Maybe a little romantic dinner on our first night, a trek to a nearby island, a visit to this famous lighthouse I know about. There was so much I wanted to do with him. As we were winding down, enjoying a glass of wine, or two, Trevor hesitated for a moment before dropping a bombshell on me. He casually mentioned that a few of his guy friends would be at the beach that same weekend. Okay, I thought, that's a coincidence. But then he went on to say he hoped to spend one of our vacation days with them. Well, I was taken aback, to say the least. I genuinely believed that this was going to be our trip. A chance for us to reconnect, to have some us time, without the pressure of work or the city. Now I was trying to grapple with the fact that he wanted to spend a day of our intimate getaway with his friends. And the worst part was, I had not even known that they were going to be there. I wanted to voice my concerns, to tell him how this made me feel, but at the same time, I did not want to start our vacation on a sour note. So I just tried to brush it off, telling myself maybe it wouldn't be so bad. Perhaps I could use that day to pamper myself or explore on my own. But deep down, I was hurt. I'm not against hanging out with his friends. I get it, guy time is essential. But springing it on me last minute on our special trip, it didn't sit well. I ended up changing the topic, not wanting to ruin our night, but it's been gnawing at me. So I come to you guys with this post. Am I just overthinking things? Let me know what you would do, and I will update you guys soon enough. Update number 1. Hey guys, OP again. Thanks for all the helpful comments and advice on my first post. A lot has happened in the past 48 hours, and I thought I'd update everybody on the situation. The first day of our vacation was, in one word, dreamy. As we drove up to the beach house, the sight that greeted us was right out of a postcard. Crystal blue waters shimmering under the sunlight, peachy white sand stretching as far as the eye could see, and the radiant sun casting its warm embrace on everything. It was breathtaking. After unloading our stuff into the beach house, which was cozy and quaint, we embarked on our planned day out. The visit to the lighthouse was every bit as magical as I imagined, and the panoramic views from the top were surreal, and it felt like we were on top of the world. The boardwalk was bustling with life, couples scrolling hand in hand, children laughing, and street performers everywhere. The dinner outing was cherry on the top. We settled for this cute little beachside restaurant, the kind with fairy lights and gentle waves providing the background score. It was precisely the kind of romantic setting that I hoped for. But despite the beauty of it all, there was one reoccurring issue that put a damper on my spirits. Trevor's insistent phone usage. Every now and then he would whip out his phone, chuckling or replying to some message, and when I asked him about it, his response was always the same. "Oh, honey, the guys are trying to make plans tomorrow." It bothered me. I mean, here we were in this paradise, and he seemed more engrossed in virtual conversations than our real-life date. The next morning, I woke up with a resolve to make the best of it. We had a delightful breakfast together, savoring fresh fruit and, well, a delicious warmth of baked goods. But before I knew it, and before it even hit noon, Trevor was getting up to leave. I felt a bit of frustration and disappointment, but masked it with a light-hearted demeanor, giving him a peck and whispering for him to stay out of trouble. The day was mine. I took it upon myself to make the most of the beach. The waters were inviting and the sands felt therapeutic under my feet. I sprawled out on a beach chair with a book in my hand and a glass of wine in the other, and as hours rolled by, one glass became two, then three, and before I knew it, the sun was setting, and I was a tad bit tipsy. However, the wine could not numb the growing anxiety I was having. It was getting late, and there was no sign of Trevor. Calls went unanswered, text unread, and I started to replay all our interactions in my head, wondering if I'd missed the red flag or if his friends had planned some all-nighter. The clock ticked on. The cozy beach house that had felt romantic escape now seemed daunting and lonely. Hours passed, and the realization sunk in. Trevor was not coming home that night. Questions were in my head. Where is he? Was he okay? Was there something more to this guy's day out that I didn't know about? I don't know. It's past midnight as I type this, and there's an unsettling silence around me, broken only by the distant sound of the waves. I've tried reaching out to him and even some of his friends, but no luck. I'm scared, anxious, and feeling more alone than ever. I don't know what's going on, but I need some advice. What should I do? Update number 2. Hey guys, OP here again. The last 2 days have been nothing short of an intense ride, and I'm still reeling from the revelations. I posted about Trevor not returning the previous night and my mounting anxiety. Well, as dawn broke and I was stirring from a restless slumber, the front door cracked open, and in walked Trevor, disheveled, looking like he wrestled a hurricane, utterly hungover. My relief at seeing him was quickly replaced by anger and confusion. Why had he not have answered my desperate calls? Where was he all night? His feeble excuse, and I quote, "Honey, I got so ducked up." And without any more elaboration, he collapsed on the couch, passed out. All the emotions I've been suppressing since the beginning of this trip came flooding out. I was livid. The trip was meant to be about us, our chance to bond and make memories, and here he was, ghosting me in an unfamiliar place and then acting like it was no big deal. But as I continued my tirade, something caught my eye. A noticeable mark on Trevor's neck. Heart pounding, I pointed it out and demanded an explanation, and his response was pitifully unconvincing, stuttering about some fishing rod mishap on the pier. After 2 years together, I can tell when Trevor's a liar, and this was one of those times. I did not want our remaining days to be ruined, so I decided to redirect my energy towards salvaging what was left of our vacation. As evening neared, I suggested we dine at a nearby upscale seafood restaurant. Freshly dressed, we headed out, but the moment we sat down and I caught a glimpse of a text notification on Trevor's phone from an unfamiliar name, Samantha. My heart sank. Trevor tried to play it cool, but his quick attempt to hide the notification and the all-too-familiar fumbling when I inquired just confirmed my suspicion. The dinner was excruciatingly silent, the tension palpable. Once back at the beach house, our confrontation was explosive. When I demanded to see his phone, he flat-out refused. The trust was broken, and the distance between us was now more than just a few feet separating the main bedroom from the guest room, where I chose to sleep that night. The walls seemed to echo with our arguments, our disappointments. However, in the stillness of the night, curiosity and a nagging suspicion propelled me to sneak right there into our main bedroom. Using Trevor's fingerprint, I unlocked his phone when he was snoring, and there it was, a series of messages from Samantha, reminiscing about a wonderful night that they shared recently, even sending him a photo they took together, and you could see Trevor wearing the same clothes that night. The world around me blurred as teary eyes stung me. I felt betrayed, humiliated, and worst of all, blindsided. Sitting there in the dim glow of the phone screen, anger and heartbreak intertwined. The need for revenge surged through me, and he had played me. And while I did not know what my next move would be, I was determined to make him regret his decisions. Update number 3. Final update. Hey guys, OP here for the final chapter of this dramatic saga. Many of you have followed my post closely, and all your advice, support, and sometimes even chastising have meant a lot to me. Here's how things unfolded. After the gut-wrenching discovery of Trevor's text, sleep eluded me. My heart was racing, and well, as the first rays of dawn broke, I found myself walking towards the beach. The sight of the sunrise, with its mesmerizing hues of pink and orange reflecting on the calm waters, brought a strange sense of clarity. I realized I could not spend another moment in that beach house, let alone another day, not with Trevor. But before my departure, a wicked idea popped into my head, and I found myself at the local fish market with an assortment of freshly caught fish in hand, and I returned to the beach house, packed my bags, and superstitiously placed the fish in various corners. Call it petty or immature, but the thought of Trevor waking up to an empty house filled with an overpowering stench of fish brought a smile to my face. Before leaving, I left him a short note, and I quote, "You lost me. Find your own ride home. P.S. Hope you enjoy the special surprise I left around the house as much as you enjoyed your time with Samantha." Hitting the road, the weight on my shoulders seemed to lighten with each mile. However, a few hours into my drive, my phone started ringing off the hook. Text messages, voicemails left and right from Trevor. Eventually, I pulled over and decided to listen to him. But it was the same song and dance, evasiveness, jumbled mess, explanations, and a complete failure to own up to his mistakes. Fed up, I cut the call with the resolve not to let him back into my life. The next day, I received a call from his parents inquiring about an odd fishy smell at the beach house. Without missing a beat, I replied, "Oh, Trevor seemed to enjoy that scent quite a lot while we were there." There was an awkward silence before they hung up, and they probably pieced together the events leading up to my little act of revenge. In the aftermath of all this, I've had time to reflect. Yes, my revenge may have been childish, but Trevor's deception, the emotional turmoil he put me through on our special vacation, made my antics pale in comparison. So guys, lay it on me. Am I the a-hole here? I mean, was my fishy revenge plus abandonment too much? Or did Trevor have it coming? Comment number 1 from the original post and the updates. Honestly, I have absolutely zero sympathy for Trevor or any cheaters out there. He knew exactly what he was doing and only feels remorseful because he got caught red-handed. Cheating is not a mistake, it's a choice. Good on you, OP, for having the courage to investigate and unearth the truth. You did what you had to do, and I totally stand by you, not the a-hole. Comment number 2. I'm baffled by Trevor's level of stupidity. From the get-go, he sounded like a nightmare of a boyfriend. Who the heck leaves their partner alone on a vacation to meet up with another woman? It's almost comical how dumb this guy is. I mean, really. You deserve so much better, OP. You're definitely not the a-hole ear. Comment number 3. Okay, I get it. Trevor is a grade A clown for pulling something like this, but OP, while it might have felt satisfying in the moment, stooping to his level is not the best choice. You should have shown him you're the bigger person by just walking away. While I don't necessarily agree with your retaliation method, it's clear that Trevor is the more significant a-hole in this situation.
So, a lot of people in the comment section were saying, not the a-hole. And I have to agree, because what OP had to go through on this luxurious vacation away with her significant other just to find out that he was a cheater and was cheating on her actively on the vacation is a lot to take in. And I think a few rotting fishes hidden in the house wasn't the craziest revenge prank somebody could have done in her position, so in my opinion, no, OP is not the a-hole. But I would like to know your thoughts, guys, and now, let's look at story number 2. Am I the a-hole for icing a stranger's car as revenge for parking in a spot that I just shoveled?
Let me set the scene. I'm 24 and I lived in an apartment complex with my wife and our dog. In a town where the winters are brutal, 6 inches or more of snow and ice each year is the normal. And shoveling the sidewalk and parking spaces is a must for us if we ever plan to use our vehicles. I drive a 4-wheel drive truck and have no problems driving in the snow. But my wife drives a small compact car for work and errands around town. It's not the best car for snow conditions, and sometimes she even struggles to open the door because the snow is too high. To keep her safe, I mainly shovel the snow for her, so she can easily get in and out of her vehicle. One particular day, the snow was falling pretty heavy. My wife was coming back from work, so I thought I'd go ahead and shovel an empty parking space for her. It was something I've done many times for both of our vehicles during snowfall, so it was not out of the ordinary. Normally, residents know not to park in an empty space that's been shoveled, especially when there are many other empty spots in the lot. As I waited for my wife to come through the door, I made us hot cocoa, feeling proud of the little gestures that I've done for her. However, when she entered, she looked at me with a perplexed expression and said, "Why didn't you shovel a parking space for me?" Well, I was taken aback by what I've told her because I did. We both went outside, only to find that somebody had parked in the spot that I painstakingly cleared for her. I was furious. My heart was pounding in my chest and my cheeks burned with anger. This was the first time it had happened to me. I stormed upstairs with my mind racing and I grabbed a piece of paper and a pen and wrote a stern note, letting the inconsiderate driver know that they should not park in shoveled spaces if it's not theirs. With trembling hands, I left the note atop the icy windshield, right there under the wipers, and then spent another exhausting hour shoveling a new spot. So then, I moved my wife's car into it, and my anger was still bubbling inside me. All the while she stood by, offering words of comfort, but equally frustrated. As the day wore on, I could not shake the feeling of annoyance. Was I wrong to feel this way? Did I have any right to claim a parking spot in a public lot? Even though I'd put in the work to clear it, my mind was a whirlwind of questions. And I kept glancing out the window, half expecting the vehicle owner to come out and confront me. I tried to put it behind me and just carry on with my day, but the incident lingered in my mind, casting a shadow over what should have been a relaxing evening. So guys, what would you have done? Update number 1. It's been a week since the initial incident, and well, I still have not been able to catch that stranger who parked in the shoveled space. I want to make it clear that it's common knowledge in our apartment complex that if a parking space is shoveled clear of snow and it was not done by you, then you don't take that parking space. This is very out of the ordinary for our community, and I thought my stern note would be enough to get the point across. But it happened again, the same week. I shoveled out a parking spot for my wife, taking my time to ensure it was perfectly clear. The snow was falling heavy and the wind was biting, but I persevered, eager to make her return home easier. By the time she arrived, the same car as last time was parked in the spot that I shoveled. My heart sank and rage welled up inside me, and I could not believe the stranger completely ignored my note. I was livid and felt this burning need to confront this person, but I had no idea which apartment they went into, so I had to wait it out. As I fumed, a sudden plan of petty revenge formed in my mind. The audacity of this person had pushed me to the brink, and I was determined to teach them a lesson. I went back up to our apartment and filled 2 large buckets with ice-cold water. The idea was risky, but I was driven by a strange mix of excitement and anger. I carried the buckets down and started splashing the water all over the person's car. The freezing temperature caused the water to instantly turn into ice, creating layers and layers over the car. My hands were going numb, and my breath was visible in the cold air, but I did not stop. I did this several times, with my actions drawing the attention of a few other residents. They watched me, their face reflecting a bit of curiosity, amusement, shock even, but nobody said a dang word. I did not stop until there were several thick layers of ice, and the car and doors making it nearly impossible to open it. I stepped back, laughing at my handiwork like an evil villain. I was surprised the stranger did not catch me in the act and confront me. Upon returning to my apartment, my heart pounding, I was met with a stern look from my wife. She scolded me for retaliating like a little kid, but I tried explaining it to her. I was not going to let this continue to happen. I hope this would teach the person a lesson that, stealing spaces that are not for them, especially after giving them a warning already, was bad. My wife was not convinced, and we spent the rest of the night in a tense silence, and as I lay in bed that night, I could not help but feel a pang of guilt mixed with satisfaction. Was I wrong for taking a drastic step? Or was it justified given the blatant disregard for common courtesy? I did not see the stranger the rest of the day, and the car remained encased in its ice sculpture. As I write this, I'm still unsure of what the fallout might be. I'll keep everybody updated if I learn anything more. I need your thoughts now more than ever. Am I the a-hole here? Should I have handled this differently? Let me know. Update number 2. It's been another week since my last update, and I've never expected things to take the turn that they have. The next morning, after the icy retaliation, I went to check the stranger's car, and my heart was beating a little faster with anticipation. Sure enough, it was still covered in ice, chisel marks visible where somebody had attempted to scrape it off. I couldn't help but crack a smile, feeling a sense of victory and satisfaction that I've gotten my revenge. But I'd say the triumphant feeling vanished in an instant when I witnessed a small, elderly lady walking out of the parking lot, chisel in hand, heading towards the vehicle. A cold chill ran down my spine. Far colder than the freezing weather outside as I realized that I've just iced an elderly woman's car. I felt an immediate bit of guilt. I felt like a total jerk. I quickly walked over to the lady as she was starting to try and chisel more ice away from her vehicle, pretending to be completely oblivious about what happened. I offered to help her. We started to chit-chat, and as I pretended to try to figure out what would have done this and why, I slowly started to learn more about her and seeing how she's just a sweet old lady and was most likely unaware of the apartment's parking rules. I offered to help her remove the ice from her vehicle, and she gladly accepted, promising me a fresh plate of cookies. I used my ice scraper and ice spray removal to chip away the thick layers, and the sound of the ice cracking under my tools seemed to echo the breaking of my pride. Once I was able to open the door, I turned her car on and let the heat defrost itself. She thanked me profusely and rewarded me with the promised cookies. Her eyes twinkled with a bit of gratitude, oatmeal raisin, my favorite. I accepted them with a heavy heart, and later, I returned to the lot of the car with another space for my wife and then headed back home. I felt so guilty because those cookies were so good. Anyways, my rash decision had led to an innocent person suffering the consequences of my anger. Yeah, I'm glad that it worked out, and I was able to help her, but the incident has left a lasting impression on me. I realize now that I should have handled things differently, and that revenge is not always the answer. Update number 3. 2 weeks have passed since my last update, and much has changed in that time. My guilt from the Icing Revenge incident never truly left me, and it continued to gnaw at my conscience. I decided I had to make things right with the sweet old lady who had been the unsuspecting victim of my misguided anger. One day, I went to her apartment, hoping to check in on her and offer a bit of assistance, and the idea was clear, an extra parking space for her each day. I already do it for my wife, and I knew the elderly lady needed the help, plus I felt it was the least I could do to make amends for what I've done to her. So I knocked on her door, and when she opened it, her eyes widened in surprise, but quickly softened into a warm smile. She invited me inside, and we sat down in her cozy living room, the smell of freshly baked oatmeal raisin in the air. But as we chatted, I could see something was wrong. Her eyes were darting away nervously, and her hands trembled slightly as she poured the tea. I asked her, "Is everything okay?" She looked at me, her eyes glistening with unshedded tears, and finally she said it. She confessed. She had seen me pour the buckets of water on her vehicle back on that day, and knew that it was out of retaliation for parking in the spot. She was not upset about it, because in the end, we had all come together and worked it out, but it's clear that she had been holding in that secret, and it had been weighing heavy on her. I was sitting there, just frozen in shock, realizing that my revenge had not only been overboard, but also had been seen by the very person it targeted. I was flushed with shame. I immediately started to apologize to her, regretting not confessing sooner, but the sweet old lady was incredibly gracious about it. She understood why I even retaliated the way I did, and was not mad at me at all. Instead, she was happy that we had found a solution, and in the process became buddies. She accepted my offer to shovel a space for her eyes twinkling with gratitude. Yes, I know I was the a-hole in this situation, but I can't help but wonder, what do you guys think? Was my initial anger and subsequent revenge justified? Or was I entirely in the wrong? In the end, all parties are happy, and we're even becoming friends out of this unfortunate event. Let me know your thoughts. Comment number 1. Honestly, no a-hole at all here. Both parties were acting petty over a parking spot, but let's face it, we all have our moments. What's truly admirable is how they managed to work things out in the end. OP realized his mistakes and tried to make some amends, and the elderly lady was understanding. They even became buddies. Comment number 2. Look, I agree with OP's initial frustration. It's infuriating to have somebody ignore your hard work, especially when it's meant for somebody that you care about. That said, OP was still the a-hole for taking such a drastic revenge. However, the way he made amends with the old lady, it restores a bit of faith in his character. It's nice to see people grow and learn from their mistakes. Comment number 3. Everybody sucks here. No question about it, but we're acting as if, I don't know, incredibly petty over a parking spot. It could have turned out a lot worse if it wasn't an old lady. And OP's revenge was excessive. And the elderly lady knowingly parked in the shoveled spot. I mean, they're lucky it ended in a friendship. But hey, it's a situation that should have never escalated to the point in the first place.
So do you guys agree with the most of the commenters that were saying everybody sucks here? Or do you agree with the commenters who were saying OP is not the a-hole? Let me know which side that you line up with. Drop your opinions down below and tell me why. Guys, thank you for joining me on today's video. That was 2 stories in today's Revenge Stories. This is Mr. Reddito's Revenge channel. Make sure that you're subscribed to it. You might be subscribed to my other channels, but make sure you're subscribed to this one as well for daily revenge stories. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll see you tomorrow, and remember, it's cool to be kind. See ya!